Hi, my name is Professor Kathryn Rhine, Katie, I go by Katie, and I am faculty in the departments of African and African American Studies and Geography and Atmospheric Science here at KU, and I'm thrilled to welcome you here today. You are in for a really exciting 4 years with honors, and I am thrilled to be able to tell you more about what it's like to work with faculty, starting with where we work. Welcome to my new home office / gym. And my kitty is here to join us for this video. Hello, itty bitty kitty. All right, so in order to get started today and give you this video, I'm gonna first set up my camera, then I'm gonna throw my cat on the floor, and then I'm gonna first talk to you today about who I am and how I got to honors. When I was an undergraduate, I was in an honors program, and I thought I knew exactly where I was going and what I wanted to do. I went to a university in Washington, D.C. I wanted to study international affairs, be a diplomat, see the world, and then I realized very quickly that the people who majored in international affairs wore suits to class and read the Wall Street Journal, and I really didn't fit in there. And I had taken in several honors classes, and I landed in a cultural anthropology class, and it seemed to me to be a very different way of studying and understanding humans in the world. From there, I started taking a geology class, and while I realized chemistry was not my forte, I loved getting out into the field. From there, I started thinking a lot more about the environment, about health, about public health, and I ended up majoring in anthropology and minoring in public health. Through the help of an honors program, a resource you will have here, I applied for many fellowships, including a Fulbright, a Boren, and a whole bunch of other awards to get me out of the US. And I went to Nigeria my first year out of undergrad, and I wanted to do research. Specifically, I wanted to understand more about the HIV epidemic. I had been a volunteer at a camp for kids who were living with HIV in the late 90s in the US, and it was right at this moment when antiretroviral therapies were really starting to change the lives of the people who were infected with this virus, and they were beginning to live with a chronic condition, not a fatal disease. Folks in Washington started to ask questions about whether antiretroviral therapies might be a good idea, even in poor places like Africa. There were clinical trials starting to come out that were showing that medications could be provided cheaply and effectively. And so when I got to Nigeria in 2002, I came at this really kind of incredible moment in the epidemic where Nigeria would be the first country in Africa to receive ARVs. And so I thought what I would do when I got there is to talk to people about human rights and the rights to medications. And I wanted to understand more about how medications were changing people's lives. And what I found that women in particular that they thought were most important to their own lives was not just getting medications, resisting discrimination in their workplace, but actually they wanted to get married. They wanted to have kids. They wanted to know, how do they live with this virus and have a normal life? And in what ways did this really deeply stigmatizing disease change that life trajectory? So I have spent the past 15 years talking to, living among women, their families, about what it's like to have boyfriends, find love, work, have babies, resist stigma, and find new ways of being in the world, even while you're living with this really deeply stigmatizing disease. I wrote a book about this, and if you take my class called Culture and Health, you will read it too, that talks about these kinds of ethical dilemmas. And a medical anthropologist studies the cultural and ethical, social, political, and economic dimensions of health and illness. So when you take classes with me, these are the questions we will ask. And they may seem obvious when we're sitting in our virtual classrooms, social distancing and watching in real life as the COVID virus has shown that at the core of this disease are really hard questions that we need to face as a society about why are some people getting more sick than others? Why are some communities hurt more than others? Why are fatality rates higher in some places than others? And at its core, that means we need to address questions about culture, about society, about politics and policy. So these are the issues you delve into in classes like mine. But I'm not just here today to tell you about me and what I research and teach. I'm also here to tell you about honors and what makes honors at KU unique. First of all, KU is huge. I mean, it's massive. There are thousands and thousands of students. You will take classes in a lecture hall with 900 people in it. You will meet more people than you ever have probably in your entire life. You will cheer on basketball games with 16,000 people in the stadium. I mean, this is a huge university. What makes honors special is that you have a really small, intimate space on campus that gives you a curriculum that is tailored toward your interests, that is tailored toward making you a more holistic person, not just a straight A student. And for those of you who have gotten admitted into this honors program, you did it through hard work. You got a lot of A's, you studied, you passed exams, and you got there through a lot of grit and a lot of hustle. Honors at KU is more than just an experience for you to get good grades or just take harder classes. I don't think that's entirely what this program is about. It's about helping you find out who you are and the challenge of living an extraordinary life, of launching an extraordinary life. The faculty and administrators, they take that really seriously. We want to make sure that you get a piece of everything that this university has to offer. You're not just going to be a great biochemistry major. You're going to have an opportunity for research, to work alongside vaccine development researchers. You will have a chance to be in a psychology lab to understand more about questions related to addiction or personality disorders. You will work in the Spencer Research Library in archives from the 1400s. You will work with literature and creative writers and dancers and anthropologists like me, where you have a chance to understand how knowledge is created, not just regurgitated in an exam or in a really good 15-page paper. I think those are especially what makes this honors program unique, those opportunities. I think you'll find a space in Nunamaker that's like, I don't know, it's like the best coffee shop you've ever been to, where there's always treats and amazing things going on, meetings, speakers, a chance to connect with other students, a chance to really kind of have a space apart in this massive university for yourselves. You will get mentors and advisors who really want to know who you are and what you want. They want to challenge you to try something outside your wheelhouse. One of the advisors was the first one who told me when he got in here that he would pop champagne the first time a student got a B in their entire lives, because it meant they really had to work hard and try something they had never done before. And in the end, that turned out to be the best experience they had. So what's in it for you over these next few years? When you read all the glossy brochures, when you take the tour, you hear about all these exciting things, but you think like, I don't know anything. I am in my first year of college. I'm lost. I don't know how to study. I don't know how to make friends. I don't know how to connect. I don't know how to lead. You just kind of feel your difference in ways that is really challenging. And your first year in honors gives you a seminar, gives you courses, gives you learning communities that allow you to get to know you're not alone here. And whether that will be online or whether that will be in person over this upcoming year, you're going to make some really great friends. You're going to have people who just genuinely care about you. They're going to ask you about how your day was, about what you're struggling with. They're going to be the first person you want to talk to when you get a bad grade or when you got cut from a varsity soccer team. I mean, you'll have people who are there to catch you when you fall, but you'll also have people to lift you up and challenge you to try things that you hadn't done before. College is a space to invent yourself or reinvent yourself. As you move from your freshman year to your sophomore year, during your sophomore year, when you are starting to get your toes wet in your major, you're starting to see that this university has a lot more things going on than you first realized when you got here. You may decide you want to study a language, study abroad. You might find service learning opportunities like alternative breaks. You might take off for a January term in Italy where you study questions about migration with the humanities department. I mean, there's just so much. The sophomores I work with are global scholars and university scholars, multicultural scholars. They have found communities on campus where they've been challenged to find their path, to start thinking about what grad school or med school or pharmacy school might hold for them. By your junior year, you will be inundated with opportunities to do research, to form organizations on campus and to lead them, to take leadership roles and really take charge of this university, exercise your agency, and make it a space that's better than it was when you first arrived. And by your senior year, you're going to be stressing over your theses. You're going to be thinking about your next steps, the jobs that you want to have, the opportunities that you just want one more of before the end of the school year. And Honors is there to help you through that whole path. What I love about being an Honors Faculty Fellow is that I get to know students throughout those 4 years. When you're a faculty member at KU, you can have an awesome group of students that you work with and see all the time, but often you don't meet them until they're in their second, third, or fourth year when they're finally declaring a major or deciding they need to write a thesis. And I know students from when they walk into the door. I know you 3 majors before the major you end up graduating with. I've helped talk you through, or I've helped talk students through questions about, do I really want to be a doctor? Or maybe it's policy that I care more about. Maybe I need a global experience. Maybe I am not destined to work in Kansas. Or maybe this amazing experience I had abroad is actually going to make me a better doctor in rural Kansas. And I had all these opportunities that I learned in Nigeria, or I had all these experiences that I had in Nigeria that helped me be a better citizen, a more active person in my community. And I want to leap from these school experiences to these real world experiences using the skills you've gained in classes. So what are the opportunities that I have offered or I have worked with students on? And there are so many. Over the past 3 years, I have led a lab for students in the humanities, social sciences, and really just about anywhere. And what made the group of students that I had unique was that they all were committed to studying the language of Kiswahili. Kiswahili gave them a chance to try to understand and see the world through a very different way. Because for those of you who speak second and third languages, you know that learning a language isn't just about memorization, it's about learning how to see the world differently. And so a couple of professors and I got together and we said, well, that's great that these students have these good skills, but we need to get you out of this country and try to solve problems with the language that you've learned. We spent 2 weeks in Tanzania in a field experience that was focused on global health issues. Students from the University of Kansas paired up with the students at the University of Dar es Salaam, and they conducted research side by side with them while also growing their language skills. Other programs I've led, I run a year-long Sawyer seminar, which brings in speakers and professionals, artists, scholars, activists, for a year-long series that focuses on questions of chronic illness, especially in communities of color. I've worked with undergraduates from the very beginning to design this program, to put it on Instagram, to meet these extraordinary scholars and artists and activists and to learn from them. I have worked with undergraduates as they have pursued theses in probably at least 15 different majors. And honors is what allows me to connect with these students and not see you as a particular major or a particular kind of student, but as a student who is curious, who has questions, who wants to learn more and do more. And I think that that's what honors offers you. I think that there are so many different paths you can take and so many different ways you can get to wherever you want to go. And I'm really, really thrilled to have the chance to welcome you and to welcome you into this program. I think you're in for just such an exciting ride, and I can't wait to join you on it. So please feel free to reach out if you have questions. I'm sure Honors would be happy to pass on my contact information, and I look forward to seeing you in the fall. Bye.